What's going on, everybody? We should be live. I'm I'm on time. I thought I was going to be late, but I got caught up watching Cletus McFarlane videos. So anyway, this is 3D Printing Sunday. The point of this series is that we go through and I walk you through a project in 3D modeling, usually designed around 3D printing. This week, I'm going to kind of get back to some 3D printing. I've been working on the last couple of weeks on the monthly Mayhem project. And this week, we're not going to be doing that. I'm not going to jump back into the trailer because I think I'm going to get back to that. This week, again, I'm going to kind of just go through a different project, something I've been wanting to do. And I was hoping to try and do some prep on it beforehand, but I think we're just going to wing it. So we're going to see how that goes. Hopefully audio's good. Looks like everyone's checking in. No one's saying anything bad about it yet. So I think that we're doing all right. Thanks everybody for checking in. We'll see where everyone's coming from as we jump into what we do here. Jump in. Fusion 360 is the program as usual. The reason we use Fusion 360 is that it's a free program. You can download it in the US, get it free for as long as you're not making money on it, basically. That's the caveat I think that they put on it. Or at least it's like if you're making less than 100,000 a year, something crazy. Anyway, this is my current model on the Mayhem project, at least for most of it. You can see the new rear diffuser design that we've got done. Oh, sorry. We have a cat. Cats are having fun in the shop right now. Hold, please, while I make them go elsewhere. Okay. Chasing each other around, making too much dang noise. Anyway, we're going to start a new design. Blank document here. Yes, Suki is in here. Since Nicole is out of town, that means that she is generally fairly attached to my leg, sitting on the desk, constantly getting in the way. The project that I wanted to do tonight is I wanted to walk you guys through some tube work, or like designing up some basic. Tonight I was going to choose something like a roll bar for the back of a truck or SUV or whatever it is. Roll cage, roll bar, tubing work in general can be a little bit difficult. And there's some things that people do that while you can get through it that way, it's maybe not the best practice. And I think that we can run over some of that. The basics of tubing though, let's just do, I'll show you kind of the basics. We're just going to take a line. We're going to draw a simple path, something like this. Now, obviously, tubing normally would need a radius. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to say, we're just going to go with that radius in there. Great. You'd normally want to define that, but say that's the path you want your tubing to take. You would start with that. Then you would start and you would draw the tube size at the end. Let's just call it, I don't know what, I didn't really draw anything else to scale. So we're going to draw, this is the basics of what you need. You need a profile and a path. Those are the two main components to drawing tube work properly. Then you'll go up in your menu and you'll do a sweep. Then you see this window pop up where it asks you for the profile and the path. Profile is the tube, they're like the round portion of it, and the path is the direction, hello Suki, is that you want it to take. So you select those two things and then you get something like that. Properly how you would want to see tubing done. Now, if you wanted, you could also do, if you went back, edited that second sketch, if you were really worried about it, you could draw this as an actual tube like that. And then we can edit this part and we could just select the outer wall. Then you have a proper tube, not a bent solid rod. So Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. That's what we need to create. Now, the more difficult part of this is most of the things that we want to draw are in odd planes or multiple planes, things like that. And that's where it can be a little bit difficult. And even I'm not all that great in Fusion with the way that they set up planes. I feel like it can be a little bit confusing and not 100% ideal. But regardless, Suki is about to attack my monitor because whenever I'm drawing in CAD, there's little things moving around and she likes to stalk that and then attack my monitor. So, Suki, you're in the way. Thank you. You're very helpful up there as well. So we're going to delete everything we did. None of that is needed to what we're looking for. So what we're going to do is I'm going to draw some very generic roll bar type stuff. And what I'm going to try and do is really show you how you could make various, dimensions and then also be able to change it. This isn't one that I think maybe is the best thing to upload for everyone to print, but hopefully I can talk you through it and then you could print it. Maybe what I'll do is upload several sizes of these in case someone just wants to download and print something that we actually drew today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of we're going to start with the side sketch and we're going to do a little bit of sketching around so that we can create the planes that we need, which that will make a little bit more. Normally you've got front planes, front, right, and top planes when you're starting to select sketches. So we're going to do another line here as well. Now I'm just going to select, we're going to put a small angle on this, like 10 degrees. That, and we're going to finish. That's actually, I'm going to go back in. We're going to edit that sketch one more time. I don't have 3D sketch turned on here on the side, but I'm going to turn that on right now, actually. So when I do this here, you see these little wheels that pop up. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to grab this one here on the side, and this is going to allow us to rotate down the sketch plane that we're on. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees like that. And then I can draw a line out from where we were. The reason that I wanted to do this is it gives me 3 points to define a plane. And that's going to be like the back of a cab of a truck. Sometimes they've got a little bit of a forward lean. A lot of times they're straight up and down, but sometimes they have a little bit of a forward lean. And that's how I'm trying to define that lean angle at this point. Hey, thanks for the donation, Dale. Sorry, non-fusion question. Bought a Spectrum smart battery, changed it to Dean's plugs. Won't charge. Do I need a smart charger? And do I need the IC3 plug? That's odd that it won't charge. It should charge just fine. Now, you may have to change your battery type to not balance charge if it doesn't have a separate battery tap or balance tap. I can't 100% remember. That would surprise me if you would have to have that. And I haven't ran into that because I don't actually use the smart stuff. So I'm sorry. Anyway, so I wish I knew a better answer for you on that. Will you try and say some of the commands you are using? Yeah, I'll try and do that. So at this point, we're going to go up to the construct menu and we're going to make a new plane. So let's see, plane through 2 edges. That's the one we're going to use because then we're going to select this edge. And now that gives us that 10-degree plane. And the reason that we defined it this way, I think will make a little bit more sense as we go. So now we're going to go back up, we're going to create a new sketch, and we're going to select that new plane that we just created. At this point here, this is when we're going to actually start drawing our very first hoop. So I went up and I clicked on line, or you can hit L for line. So from there, we're going to draw just straight up. And we're just going to draw to the center line on all of these. L for line, X for construction to just make ourselves a midpoint line. Now, if we let's grab a body. I'm gonna grab just my what is this? This is an Ultra. So VS410 Ultra. Suki, you're very inconvenient. Move your butt, cat. So I'm gonna take some very basic measurements off of this truck, and that's what I'm gonna so the rails on this to the center line is 170 millimeters. So we're gonna hit D for dimension. I'm gonna go straight up, 170 divided by 2. Then I'm going to use the horizontal vertical constraint tool, to make sure that that line is appropriate. Now, if I want to go about 60 millimeters tall, again, using D for dimension, that's my common. We're going to use the fillet at the top. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to do about a 13 millimeter radius, a half-inch radius, roughly. Now, sometimes when you use that, we're going to hit L for line, X to make it a construction line. Suki, what are you doing? Oh, I was already on construction line. So I'm going to select that line again, hit X one more time just to turn it back. Hit the horizontal vertical constraint. So now we've got this. One thing we can do is with the, we can make I want to make the profile now, the actual tube part. So now that we are in 3D Sketch over here on the right side, the very bottom option is, so we're going to go back, we're going to grab that handle that we had before, and we're going to rotate 90 degrees again. That's going to make our profile perpendicular to our path. That's the important part. Now we're going to start it at the edge of that and draw a circle. Now we need to define that circle. I draw most things for 3/16 tubing, but if you're actually going to 3D print this, I think a little bit larger tubing would be better for you. And I think we'll jump up to something like 6 millimeters, so just under 1/4 of an inch. Then we're going to hit Finish Sketch. Now again, at the top, the sweep command, select our profile first, and then we're going to select our path. So we get that. Suki. Oh, I know what I had. So now you've got half of some roll bar, right? One thing that I do find nice to do is that I'm going to turn on that sketch that we made, because I'm going to use it to connect to node points and center points, things like that, because that's going to make things just a little bit easier for us as we go. Now, one thing you could do, if you want to simplify things for yourself, instead of making multiple paths or anything like that, you can select it. You can go to create a copy on, or go up here, hit move at the top, select the body, do create a copy, and then just in the, what do we have? That would be our Y distance. We could do like a 12 millimeter offset. Oh no, it's of the actual, the move is actually to its actual path rather than, we're gonna ignore that. I would do it, but we'd do it a different way. So what we just did, we created that angle. I made up this angle of 10 degrees. Now, if you wanted to go back and adjust that, you can just edit that first sketch that we had and instead go back to that 10 degrees and go 20 degrees. It'll change that. It'll change the angle of the plane that we created off of it, and it now changed the angle of our roll bar. It's very simple. But if you define things off of sketches that you made, you have this ability to change things around very easily. So, and everything will keep rebuilding properly as you make these little changes. Little tweaks like that are easy to do if you plan ahead and kind of have a workflow that you like to work through. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change that to 10 degrees just because I feel like that was about the angle I wanted. So we've got that. We're going to start another sketch. Now this one, we're going to create, I'm just going to create a line along our top plane. I'm going to do that because I think I'm going to need that for reference in a few situations. Actually, I'm going to edit that sketch. I'm going to change where I have that. And I'm going to hit L for line, and I'm going to start it off of that end point that we had for the roll bar, because I'm going to use that as a place to create another sketch or another plane. Again, we're going to go up to construct, plane through two edges. We're going to select the upright and that vertical line we created. That's going to now allow us to sketch something like, let's just go to the node. Turn off. Sookie's knocking things off my desk. It's very convenient for me. We're going to draw down, very simple bar. We're going to make this go back. Let's say we would make it go 65 millimeters from the origin. Something simple like that. Or maybe you want it to look, that's kind of boring. Let's do something like, do that, put a 25's good there. Let's put a radius on it of 13 like the other one. Now we need to create our profile. Oops. So I double clicked on the that endpoint of that circle to move my my plane origin. And then we're going to rotate that by 90 degrees. Why that? There we go. Now we need to make sure that we match that diameter, which I think was 6. Should be proper. How did you check the center of the, how did you click the center of the pipe? So that was on the previous sketch, one of those previous ones when we drew this profile of that actual tube. I went back into my sketches and I turned that sketch on so that it stays on. So that then I can reference back to that point all the time. Now we're going to go back to our sweep. Have to click both sides of it this time. We're going to do a join rather than a cut. Then we have more of a roll bar. I know the pieces that she knocked off, and I actually need those. And I'm hoping she didn't carry them away. Dang cat. So, you know, this is a pretty simple roll bar is the thing. Like tubing can be a pain, but even this being simple, you know, it's one of those things like it can start to get difficult here and there. I'm going to keep turning on that sketch. Like I just finished that tube, so the sketch went away, but we're going to turn it back on. That way, all those points are always there to click back to and reference. It can be very helpful to have those on all the time. We could, and at this point now, say you're just wanting to do, you know, some tube work here and there, but then you want to, you know, add some decoration or things like that. Those planes that we had, they were off currently, but went back in and turned them visible under the construction dropdown. Plane 2 was that one that we had just created here on the side. Let's draw on plane 2. So let's do something. We could we're going to hit L for line, X for construction, draw a construction line down the center, C for circle, turn construction line back off. Drew 3 circles. We're going to click all 3 of them while holding control and then hitting equal to make sure they're the same size. And let's define that size as 8 millimeters. We'll just do some simple dimensioning to match the location. Now, I made that on the center line, but I don't like it because since this one's at an angle, this spacing gets closer. Center line, I meant center point. We're just going to kind of eyeball it instead. Looks close enough. So something like that. Now, if we wanted, we could also kind of dimension some of what we created here. 20, 15. I have no idea what style I'm going for here. This is definitely not anything that's got any sort of reason to it. I'm just drawing randomness. I'm just looking, these couple things are still blue and I'm just trying to wonder, that's why. Because my coincident mate for that one got broken. There we go. So now everything's black, showing everything is defined. So now we could just click that profile. And what I would do here is I would do a symmetrical extrusion, total width, and do something like 3 millimeters. Oh, make sure that it's a join. And then you can add some sort of very ugly dimple die panel. I pretty much hate that. That looks god awful. Let's see. I mean, that looks better. It still looks dumb, but whatever. Why is my volume low today? I'll turn it up a little bit. How about now? Maybe that's a little bit. I don't know why. Testing. Still low. Okay, a little bit better. So I could tell my volumes weren't peaking up there too much yet, but anyway, some other little things you could do is if you wanted to in here, come in, add like a 1 millimeter fillet. If you wanted to add a little bit of strength to your 3D prints, that could help. Even maybe 2 millimeter. Doesn't look too bad. Add some strength in the area. Doesn't look too unrealistic because you would see some welding in there possibly, you know. That might be a little extreme there, but whatever. Let's see. Now, obviously I'm only drawing kind of half of this roll bar, something that we're going to easily be able to just mirror to the other side. But let's go ahead. Let's just mirror this now. Select the whole body. The mirror face will be the center plane. Now we're going to use the combine tool to combine those bodies and hit enter. So now it's one happy family. Now, one thing is, this is not a reasonable mounting situation. So we can do a couple of things that are just easy. These are lazy ways. We can just do the press pull, grab this, bring it down a little bit, and just go around doing that because we don't really need a specific length. We just need to add some because we're going to come back and trim. Or even, let's do it a non-lazy way. Let's select that, drag it down, and then click origin view. And will it give us a, what is that, XY plane? Will it let us do that? It won't. Okay. I was trying to be not lazy, but Fusion works a little different. So -5. Oops. So we're just doing that because next we're going to go in and do side view, and we're going to make a cut based on that plane from the side. Again, I'm not defining the plane. I really should be. And again, this is one other thing. Like, we should have done this. I should have done this before I mirrored it, just because I would have only been doing one side, the whole deal. So there. Now we have proper legs that are, you know, flat to a plane if you're going to actually use this for mounting. Come in, click the bottom. I would do something simple like select that. I'm going to hit P for project to grab both of those profiles. I'll do a tangent constraint on that edge. And this one I'm actually going to leave a little long because I feel like this is where you don't want to put if you try and put hardware right in the center out here or in here, you're going to be trying to work around the roll bar too much. Here it might be a little bit easier just because you have a little bit more room to kind of work around things. But once you get, as this bar starts to get low, it's just not going to happen easily. So something like 85. Actually, if we were using this, oh damn, 85 is like right on. What do you know? Well, that would be 85 to the center line. So let's go like 91. 91, we'll do a 3.5 millimeter circle. L for line, X for construction. We can grab the center point of that old sketch that we still had showing. Oops. Something like that. We need to define a width. 10 millimeter. So do that, and then we'll throw a couple radius on there. Like that. Let's just say 3. Oops, not 6, but 3. Right. Oh, hey. Will this print solid or hollow? And could you add mounting spots for LED light pots? Well, this would print solid because I didn't extrude anything hollow. I did it as a solid rod. And yeah, I can easily show like how I would add mounting points, something like that. We'll add. What would that be? If I was going to go to there, like 30 millimeters or so. I'm not saying this will bolt on to a VS410, but it might fit the VS410 rear section without much. It might bolt right up. A lot of times when you add fillets in Fusion, for some reason it likes to just forget the constraints that you had put onto it before. I'm not sure why. It's very annoying. I feel like they should get that fixed, but they have not. So it's letting me drag that back and forth. Do that, hit midpoint. There we go. Now it's getting things back in order. So drawing that path, I would go, oops. I would select those profiles. We're going to do this as a join, and we're only going to go up like 4 millimeters. That's a pretty hefty mounting surface, but you know, for 3D printing, you're going to want something. Ah, looks like we had a profile in there that it didn't like. You can see that gap that it's leaving there. Let's make sure that we're not, see that? Now, this is an area I would definitely want to go in, add a couple of those two, like two. One thing I'm going to do right now, though, is I'm going to go back and delete that mirror and combine. And delete those old things because we're doing all this work and it's going to be way easier to just mirror this than it is going to be to do it twice. So now let's, like Jeremiah was saying, we can add some LEDs or LED mounting spots to the top. Should be pretty easy. We can do this in a couple of ways. We need a plane up here to draw on. We go into construct. It's going to be the easiest way to do this. Can we do an offset plane? We're going to offset the top plane, your normal one, and then we're going to select the end point of that center line that we had. Is it going to let me do it? Distance to object. Yeah, so on this, in the pop-out menu, change it from distance to object. Then you're just going to go select that endpoint, and now you've got a plane there. Select that plane, rotate to the top. Now let's just draw something like, I don't know what kind of LED spots you would have. Let's go with a 3.5 millimeter circle with like a 7 millimeter outside. Let's do something like that. Select it, turn that into a, make sure we have enough room. I'm going to grab a rectangle. Do that. We're going to use the tangent constraint up top. We're going to select the edges of the rectangle and the circle to just bring everything together. I'm going to hit P for project to grab the outside of that tube. Then I'm going to make the outer circle and, actually it's not going to let me do that. Tubes, and it doesn't like to use tubes as a, for projections. So we're just going to do it with the dimension. Do I have something happening here at a funky angle? No. I should not. I'm going to turn 3D sketch off. We're going to go 7 millimeters out just because. Oh, that was why. We were just. So we've got our platform as we are calling it, at least. I'm going to, rather than mirror this around, I'm going to do finish. I'm going to grab all of these things. We're going to go symmetrical, total distance, and we're going to go 6. That should bring it, oh, since I made it too close to that, let's go to 5. Will 5 handle it? Keep me, yeah. So see how it keeps those edges hidden within the bounds of the tubing. That will be best. Turn it to a join, hit OK. Sorry everybody that I'm not catching comments. Trying to still cover all this stuff as well as I can. Oh, thinking back though, edit that feature. Rather than do a join, let's do a new body on that. We're going to leave it separate, and I'll show you why. Because if we do that now, we can go in, we can do it a couple of ways. We can just do a rectangular pattern, even though we're only going to do a pattern in the Y axis. Objects, we've got selected. Direction, we'll select that line. Quantity 3, oh, I don't know what the distance is though. So let's measure that line, 72 millimeters. So we have 72 millimeter rectangular pattern. Select the body, select the direction. Distance is going to be 72. And we need to go to negative 72. Now you can see it put 3 in there. If I put 4 or 5, that would be a crap ton of LEDs. So let's just go 3, like that. That'll give us 5 LEDs total. So hit OK. And it sure didn't do it. Why didn't it do it? Did I hit a button wrong? Negative 72. Direction. Quantity 0 in the other. Oh, actually, just leave it at 1. Will that do it for us? Try this one more time. I think I saw what I did wrong. I have faces selected rather than bodies. That was why. Body, now direction. 72 by 3. There it goes. Just a little. Don't you dare get on that shot. Sucky. No. She gets up on the shelf. She climbs all the way up to the dumpster. Little shit. Okay. So there's like the light pod mounts for what Jeremiah was saying. At this point now, let's mirror all of these except that center one. We could mirror the center. Actually, sure. Let's just hit combine up at the top. Select all of the bodies. Hit enter. It's all one now. Now we can go to mirror, select that, select the right side plane. Then we could combine both sides. And now we've got a roll bar with LED mounts. Something simple there. I think that this might actually bolt up to a VS410 Pro, or a half cab body, I'm saying in general. Yeah, I mean, at least this would give you a start. And now, like we talked about, let's go to our very first sketch and edit that angle that we had. Let's change that from 10 to 30, something drastic, and just lay it way down. And we'll see how much of our sketch rebuilds. So you can see that it angled everything way down. Obviously, we've got an error here on this sweep. So we need to edit that sketch. Everything looks good when I go in and edit. So into the sketch, let's go to the feature. Sookie fell. Let's deselect both and then just reselect both just in case, just to see what it's doing. So nothing was particularly wrong. It just wanted us to rebuild it by hand for some reason. So, but you can see, like, we didn't have to make many modifications. I still have a couple of things, like I've got some fillets that have blown up, and we'd need to, it looks like around here, things like that. But those are minor things, really not that important, things that are easy to redo especially. So you can see if you do things well from the start, you give yourself all this ability. Let's go 1 degree. We'll stand it almost straight up and down. We'll go back to that sweep that keeps acting a little funny. And now you've got a roll bar that's vertical nearly. It's just So that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Spending a little bit of time setting up these sketches that are easily modified gives you this ability to just go in, tweak your tube work. Maybe you guessed at an angle of a body. You print it and you're like, shh, it just doesn't fit. I need it to be a little bit more stood up or a little bit more laid down. You can go in there and make 5 clicks and then hit reprint and just walk away. And you'll be happier because all of the time that you spent won't have been wasted. So let's go. I'm going to read. If you guys have questions, throw them in the comments now. I'm going to spend a minute kind of either replying to questions or answering questions, reading your comments, seeing what you're making fun of. So, Tiny Truckin' OZ. Josh, how would you make it into a template for fabbing out of actual tube? That is something that is much more difficult, especially in Fusion. Now, I've obviously done a lot of templates, and that is in certain software, it's a lot easier in some ways than others. That I would have to really spend some time on myself in Fusion to check, because without going through the process, I've never used Fusion to create my own templates for that type of thing. So a little bit difficult there for me to answer that question at least. Can you put a curved pipe in a solid object in Fusion? I can do a loft through the solid object, but not a pipe. Can you put a curved pipe in a solid object? I'm interested in that question, Desert Racer, but I don't understand what you're saying exactly. Can you rephrase it or clarify it for me a little bit? Now, how would you print that? I would probably print it exactly like it is, and I'd just get ready to trim some support material. If anything, maybe I would print it laying down, like with this face down, in this angle maybe. But I think for strength, I would want it printed exactly like this so that I got this whole pad with the layers linear. I think that would give me the best strength. So that's the route that I would go. Scale. Will this stand up to a truck hitting a foot at 57 miles an hour? My roll bar was just fine. Don't forget to save your work. I don't really have any use for this project, but I will save it. I'm going to put that back to 10 degrees. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and we'll call this, what are we calling this thing? STL Sunday Roll Bar Project. Roll bar, done. Would roof racks be designed in a similar manner? Roof. Thank you, Mike. Yes, they would be. And what time is it? It's only 6:48. Let's do a simple roof rack real quick. If we could borrow your foot mat, we could test. This is for a VS410 Ultra. Which hasn't gone 57 yet. Maybe I should make a VS410 go fast. Josh, have you used the equations parameters? I've used them in SolidWorks more than in Fusion. And I've found it useful in certain situations, not for something like this, but I found it useful in others. How did you move the origin planes around to different points? So let's just do it again with something. Let's draw. What do we want to add? Let's see. What does this thing? Let's do I don't know. Someone make a suggestion here because I'm out of suggestions. Let's do a V-bar, crossbar. I don't know. We need something at an angle so that it's not an easy one. Let's add a weird one. This one is actually going to be a little bit tricky, even like for me. Let's see. How would I add a bar from here to up in this area? New sketch. Let's see. can I just start a sketch on the base? I'm just going to select that. I'm going to turn 3D sketch on, and then I'm going to select point there. And if I hide that body, can I do? Yes, I can. So by hiding the body and just working with wireframe, that's another option. Let's do 20. Now we've got from there to there. Now we're going to do a circle. Let's do, so if you click on the end point to start your circle, that's when it moves the origin of that little sketch. What I'm a little bit puzzled on though is, I don't know, like I don't know this exact angle. I don't know, because this is a 2-plane rotation. It's not only tilting down, looking straight on from the back, but it's also an angle here. So you've got this weird compound angle. If I can do, I would probably hit finish sketch. And then let's see. Actually, I'm going to go back to that sketch. Edit sketch. This one is tricky. Why right there I use pipe script. The pipe script. What are you talking there? Is that, does it have one in? I mean, I guess it's certain. I guess that's is that an add-on to this? Is that what you're talking about? I mean, normally I find this to be much less. But if I do a axis, yeah, that one, go to tools and add on. Okay, that actually could be, because that's scripts and add-ins. Pipe, oops. Did that. I hit run. Where does it add that? Pipe. And it failed on me. Oh, well. Oh, there you go. I see. That actually is a nice tool in that situation, just to do it with. Oh, that's kind of cool. I have not used it in use. I like that. That's actually pretty simple. Thank you for the suggestion. I have not used that in Fusion 360 before, but it makes things quite easy. Add that there, now you get that. That didn't answer his question on me rotating the origin, but so if I would mirror that. I don't necessarily like what I just added, but you know, it's a different style if you like that. And so, yeah, that pipe feature is nice. And that was a simple thing to add. Tools, add-ins, scripts and add-ins, and then went down to pipe like they suggested and hit run. Super simple. I really do not like what we added though, so I'm taking that back out. Does the element in Sendero look like a first gen Dodge to anyone else? I think that's what James Knight did with his. So I'm going to go back up to the comments where I left off and kind of go back. Okay, New Mexico was saying more like a curved tunnel through a solid object. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, you should be able to do something like that. Um, if we just make something like that. I would imagine that if we did that, do something along those lines, then throw the sketch back on. Then we go to back to sweep, select our profile, select our path, do a cut. That does give an interesting error. So we'll do it the other way. I'll select the endpoint there. We're going to rotate our plane 90 degrees. I don't know why that doesn't work in this case either. Oh, I see why. Because I had the radius that I created caused this. See what I did there with that. So I'm guessing that that issue was because of me, not because of. Oops. One more time. Back up. Sweep. Profile. Path. Cut. There you go. Now you've got a tunnel cut through some weird block. But yeah, it does work same way. So if you wanted to create some sort of channel for some reason, and we'll see where I left off now on comments. Are you making some exhaust? What about making some exhaust stacks for a flatbed? That, I mean, something like that would be easy, but I think that would be a very, well, I guess if you wanted to make them curved like a stack, right? That would be the stack looking thing to do. If you say you were working on this, and I mean, some good sized diesel stacks, right? Some 15, whoops, some 15 millimeter diesel stacks. Oops. So we're going to click on that center point, and I'm going to come back here, and we're just going to rotate that up 90 degrees. Actually, while I rotate it up 90, I'm actually going to rotate it this way 90 as well. And that is so that I can just draw up and draw in both directions that I was going to. Because we'll do like the 45 degree. Do a slash cut tip. Do that. Sweep. Oh, we probably want to do that as a an actual stack though, right? If you wanted to 3D print it per se. Do a 2mm wall thickness. That's too thick, but whatever. Sweep. Our profile is just the inner part now. Our path, the outer. How did I not know? What happened there? I swear that is not how I drew that. I guess I did not realize how I was rotating my path. That's more like what I was looking for. 135 degrees. Then we'll go in and throw 15mm radius on it to match the... Oh my God. So if you did that, yes, that looks good and ridiculous. Do a nice slash cut through it. Just the trash can stack that everybody wants. If I was going to do that, if I was going to make this 3D printable, I would close the bottom in, do a 2.5mm screw so you could thread up from the bottom. I'd go 4mm in. So now you've got a single threaded hole in the bottom. You could print that, no support, single piece, standing up. And I mean, obviously, if you're going to do this, you'd need them on both sides. Stacks. Everybody needs stacks. Wow. Whoa. Sorry, my comments jumped. I'm going to be way far down. There is a wicked free add-on in the store to make involute gears and bevel gears, etc. Oh, that'd be nice. I mean, if you're looking to design around it, I guess, maybe 3D. I mean, you're probably not going to 3D print gears that are going to be worth anything, but how about a dual bar where the light pods are included? I see what you... That would be something I would probably want to do earlier in the design process, but it wouldn't be that hard in the design process early. I would probably just take and do a... I'd do like, you could do a pattern and double them, or you could just, something like that. Then you don't have to... And then I would just draw these with that. That would probably be one of those design style things I'd want to make a choice on pretty early. We built a roll bar and gave us. He built a roll bar and gave us all $20. You missed it. Let's see. Definitely clicking the save button on this one. Don't need it now, but this will be some helpful in the future. Good deal. Nice, Affy. Another cat. How about tools like a welder and other crap like that? Like those are all like projects that take time, and we've done some of those. You can go back and watch the other versions of these, but we've done welders and a bunch of other tools and things like that that you can download. They're on my Thingiverse, which I think is linked in the description below. Put the dumping tip at an angle. I think I like the straight cut style. The angle ones are okay too, but I like the straight cut. Uh, yeah. Diamond plate toolbox for between the roll bar. Yeah. No alcohol on Sunday. No, none for me. I don't normally drink, but Friday was an exception since it was a rough day. Um, but yeah, no, I think that this was more just of a good simple project to go through to kind of show you guys that more than the pipe add-on is a nice one. I appreciate that suggestion that Damn Beaver made. Uh, it's a good suggestion, a good add-on. I would recommend it. I'll probably use it again. But more than anything, it's about the sketching of angles and things like that that really get into some of the intricacies and planning ahead with being able to make easy adjustments to things later. So that's what I would highly recommend. But this is actually Safi. Peanut is, oh, really? Why do you, they don't normally get on my, well, Suki does. She does it all the time, but get down. Evidently, they all just think that they can get up here now. But there you go. That we can turn off the sketches. Things can look a little bit more like you would normally see. We created the most ridiculous scale accessories for you tonight. Yeah, exactly. Nicole's not home, so they are absolutely starved for attention because I am solely focused on getting Mayhem done. Nicole and I talked today, and she's like, so basically, the last 2 weeks of Monthly Mayhem, I need to leave every time. And I said, yes, that is true. You need to leave at the end during Monthly Mayhems. She says, deal, do another one next month. So anyway, that's really all. I didn't need to make this too long of a stream. I just wanted to get something out there, show you guys another project, something else that this is one that I would encourage you guys to jump into. Tubing is super popular in our type of scale truck, so I think that it's something that you can jump into for sure. And it's just another one of those areas that if you do it the proper way, like with actual paths and things like that, rather than, like when I say that, some way that people will try and do things is they'll try and actually draw out something like, they'll draw rectangles like this, and then they'll try and go through and, dimension this as 6 and this is 6. They'll do that, and then they'll trying to extrude all that up. I've seen people do this before. Try and say, go in 10 here, and would that make here 16, and then select all of these and put a 3. So there. We got the same thing. In the end, this looks like a tube, but way more difficult to get through everything to create that versus doing something that, especially if you want to try and do, wow, I'm not showing you guys at all. Let me go back. Wah, wah, wah. So I showed, going in and drawing rectangles like this, dimensioning it out 6 millimeters here, 6 millimeters there to do something. Then going in, extruding that up 6 millimeters to create a square, and then putting a 10 millimeter radius on the inside, a 16 millimeter on the outside. Now you have something that, looks that way, and then doing 3 millimeter radius on all four sides. So if I deleted that, select all of these and do a 3 millimeter radius, and it turns it into a tube. But especially once you get into anything that's more difficult, this is a definite downside, to design. But it's like anything, there can be a lot of ways to get things done. However, you spend a little bit more time, learn a thing here or there, you'll get things done quickly. So, and like anything, Fusion 360 is not the program I normally use. Most of my 3D design work is done in something like SolidWorks, but to try and put information out there, it's much easier to try and teach on something that's a free program rather than a $10,000 software package that nobody has. And if they do, they already know how to use it. This is just Fusion 360 is great if, for something that's free. It's not the best thing possible, but it is leaps and bounds better than anything that I had to learn on for free when I was going through this. So there you go. So yeah, super inefficient, but could come in handy. I mean, I suppose it could. I mean, if you don't know how to draw tubing, like I've seen people do that a lot, but it's just not. Josh, I want that, please. Print it and send it to me. This, I mean, I don't even know what this will go on. Like, this might not fit anything. I just drew some funky dimensions of some random shit. And so let's export this. Let's see what this thing, save as an STL. Right clicked on the body, save as STL. We'll call this STL Sunday roll bar. Let's open up Cura. I'll take one also. I'll make it fit. I'll make it fit my SCX24. Right. Telling you, things like this, they don't have to be super intimidating. You can absolutely get into it. It's probably going to take you 4 hours the first time or 5 hours, but you'll learn and then you'll be better and then you'll be ready for the next project. Cura's taking forever. So let's load. Let's just see what this thing. Leave my normal settings. Support we're gonna need. Let's see what it says. Oh, I only have support touching build plate. I'm gonna need that everywhere rather instead. So yeah, printing roll bars creates a lot of support, but what is it giving us for 5 hours of print time for it? Not terrible, but still a long print. So, you know. I don't know why I'm previewing it. I'm used to Fusion 360 and doing tool paths now. So there you go. What else do we have in here? Check going back to comments for a minute. Local Hobby Town got a laser nut day before yesterday. That is a crazy rig on 4S out of the box. No need for upgrade. I think it does pretty well. I don't know upgrades. I don't have a big. I put a servo. It needs a servo. That is one thing. If you don't make this blow smoke, then I have lost faith in you. Have you tried Prussia's slicer? No, I haven't. I've heard good things about it. Uh, I've watched a couple of kind of like head-to-heads on some of the Prusa versus Cura and things like that, and it hasn't been enough to make me switch lately. I used to use Repertoire Host, but switched to Cura a little while back. So add the stacks to the print. Yeah, that I mean, I think the stacks would print quite a bit quicker, but you may as well if you flip it up onto the front, it would need less. I think that it would, but the reason I would want to print it this way is for the base area here. I would want the layers to be of this base oriented in this direction for strength. Uh, just because layer adhesion in that plane, I would feel better about uh, going in that direction. I think that would be the stronger way to have it printed. It probably would be faster with less support to print it laying on its face, but I think that this is the best way for strength. That's why I would want to do it that way. Would it be better to? Yeah, that's why. So that's why I have it that way. I think that it would be faster the other way, but I think it's best this way. Do you think 3D printed axles will last on the trails? No. I do not like using 3D prints in basically anything structural. Like I don't even like using it for chassis cross braces and things like that. I know a lot of people do, but it's not something I would ever be my go-to. Wow. Yeah. You guys can't see it. I see that now. So, anyway, not that it was super important to see me throw this thing in Cura, but the reason I was saying this way again was just for layer adhesion and strength of these bases rather than maximum, efficiency in print time. But that's why. When do we get a new tour of your? Oh, it does need a new update. There's so much stuff that's been updated and changed. I need to do it, but I need to get some stuff cleaned out first so that I can get. Yeah. I used SolidWorks for years. Fusion 360 is the future. I like Fusion 360, but I don't think it's as powerful as SolidWorks, um, especially any of like the last few years. Uh, when do unlock the diffs on that screen? Thanks. Yes. How do you think it would come out with that much support? Would it clean okay? I think it'd clean all right. If you have your support settings decent, you know, uh, it's just so user friendly for small to medium sized machine shops. It's incredible. Yeah, I guess I mean, we're a pretty small machine shop. We use Mastercam and SolidWorks. I think, you know, there's been a lot of complaints about some of Fusion's, Fusion's practices with some of their new stuff there as far as like users and programming things like that. But I don't think that's so. I think Mastercam and SolidWorks are still like still a top tier. I think if I could afford it, I would have printed it in metal. Ooh, yeah, that would that would be. Eh. The nice thing with this, you print it at home yourself, see how you like it, and then, but it would be expensive. Build the flying toilet from test flight next week. I haven't seen that. That's a lot of supports to cut. It is, but I think they'd come out pretty quickly. Have I upgraded to Cura 4.7 yet? I have not, evidently. I don't, yeah, I just haven't yet. So yeah, that is about all. I've got things to get back to work on. So that is the route of what I wanted to get shown for tonight. 7:20, so we did an hour and 20 some odd minutes. It's pretty decent overall. Thank you everybody for joining. It's another fun one of these. I think trying to keep them a little on the shorter side for right now is good, especially with how much stuff I have to get done. I guess next week we will be done with Monthly Mayhem, so I've got a huge list of projects that I want to get finished with right after that. So more videos to come. But thanks, guys. Good times. We'll see you for the scale news on Monday or Tuesday. I film Monday. Tuesday is released. Later.